If you can go to Dragon Con for only one day, which day should it be? I'm going to tell you the answer to that as someone who's been going for 16 years. Welcome to another episode of How to Dragon Con. My name is Kong. I will be your guide. We're going to cover the 5 official days of Dragon Con as well as the unofficial 6th one, give you my rankings and tell you how I would do it if I only had 1 or maybe 2 days to go. I understand a lot of newbies may be hesitant to commit more than 1 day. Maybe you're just not sure about it. You think it's like any other generic Comic Con and you think 1 day is enough to soak everything in. Or maybe you found out about it a little bit too late in the year, couldn't get hotels to make an entire weekend worthwhile, so you're limiting yourself to just 1 day. I'm trying to help you pick which day might be the best one for you. And before I get into it, as a bonus, Dragon Con has announced the prices for 2025. Here on the screen, you can see the single day prices. And if you happen to see this video any other time during the year that's not July, please don't be alarmed if you don't see single day options. Historically, they don't go on sale until August. It's going to be August 1st this year. So again, don't freak out. Just wait till closer to August and you will see an announcement for whatever year you happen to see this video. And as a reminder, if you're going to get a single day badge, I would do it sooner than later because historically they have started selling out. And once you miss that chance to buy it, the only other option you're going to have is the full weekend badge. All right, without further ado, what's the best day to go? In my opinion, that would actually be Friday. I'm going to give you all the reasons why I chose it, as well as some of the drawbacks for it. First of all, you should know it's the first full day of con that actually starts at 10 a.m. So while Thursday is now an official day, there's really not a whole lot going on, especially during the daytime. But with Friday, you should have access to all the panels. The dealer hall and artist alley are open, as well as the Walk of Fame. And of course, the big Friday night event is the Friday night costuming contest, where you will see the best of the best bring their A game and see who wins. Another big con of Friday is the atmosphere. I think it's just electric, it's special. Everyone's excited because the day's just getting started. The weekend hasn't even come yet. Everyone's still fresh, so the vibes are just off the charts. And because Friday is still a work day for a lot of people, that is actually a little bit less crowded, especially earlier in the day. So I would take advantage of that to roam around, hit up the dealer hall, maybe attend some panels before everyone else comes in later in the weekend. And as you saw in the prices earlier, Friday is also the cheapest of these single days, so that's another pro as well. And last but not least, whether you still have the option to buy another single day or you bought a full weekend badge, knowing that Friday is actually the first day is a great peace of mind because Dragon Con actually has some built-in redundancy to their programming. So if you want to see some celebrity guests, if for some reason you missed their panel on Friday, don't be too alarmed because they will probably have another one that you can catch on Saturday or Sunday. Really, the only cons I can think of for Friday is A, of course, you might not be able to get off work and come because it's not quite the long weekend holiday yet. And 2, the Walk of Fame is actually open 3 hours later. So maybe because they need extra setup on the first full day, it actually doesn't open until 1 p.m. Whereas on Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday, it will open on 10 a.m. All right, as for the second best day, I actually had a different opinion, but I went ahead and watched my old video and I was like, what is Young Kong thinking? I don't agree with that. But then the more I listened, the more I thought about it, it made sense. So let me change my mind and say the second best day is actually Saturday. And I say that with a lot of caveats, which you'll hear in just a bit, but you just cannot simply beat the fact that some of the biggest and most important Dragon Con events happen on Saturday. Things like the parade in the morning, things like the night at the aquarium at night. And odds are, if you have the celebrities that you came to see, their mega big panels will probably be on Saturday, and even the biggest musical acts will more than likely perform Saturday night as well. So if any of those are on your must-see, must-do list, then obviously Saturday is a no-brainer. That's the only day you can go to see some of those things, and I completely understand. Going back to the parade for just a little bit, here's 2 pro tips. First, I would really line up super early if you feel like you have to see it in person. But if you're fortunate enough to get a host room, I would just sit in your room, sleep in a little bit, get comfy, and watch it on DC TV. But if you don't care so much about the parade, then I would actually recommend it's a great time to go into the Walk of Fame because so much of the crowds are distracted by the parade. You'll actually have about an hour to an hour and a half that's relatively calm in the rest of the con. So if there's celebrity guests that you want to see, you may want to peek in the Walk of Fame just to see if their line is a little bit shorter first thing on Saturday before it overwhelmingly gets crowded later on. As for the vibes and atmosphere, I think it's still super lively. Everyone's excited. It's probably the peak or the pinnacle of the con weekend. The only thing that's kind of bringing some of those vibes down is the fact that it is so crowded, and of course that's the major con the crowds. I've touched on this before, but there's two ways that the crowds can really dampen your day. The first one, of course, is that the events themselves, because they're so popular, because so many people are there, the lines to get in are going to be crazy. You could be easily waiting over an hour waiting and never even actually set foot in the panel because it's already full capacity. And on top of that, don't underestimate just how much the crowds will add to your commuting time. So whatever may have taken you just 10 minutes the other days on Thursday or Friday could all of a sudden double or triple because every single path that you can think of is super congested, especially the indoor tunnels and hobbit trails that connect the hotels. And it's not a whole lot better if you think you're going to go outside and skip the crowds. The crowds are there too and just as packed on the streets. So I feel like there is a little bit of a hit to the value because unfortunately the other big con about Saturday is also the most expensive single day. It's nearly half the price of a full weekend badge. So when you consider the price that you pay and what little events you can actually attend because of how busy they are and how much time you lose just waiting in line, it's something to consider and temper your expectations for Saturday. Oh, and a final note, going back to the thing about the Walk of Fame, because I know a lot of newbies come for celebrities and a lot of newbies pick Saturday as the day that they come. So if that's your goal, just again, please expect to wait very, very long lines just to get into the Walk of Fame. And once you're in, for the table for the guests that you want to see, I've no joke waited over an hour myself in the past, and I see people routinely have to go through that. So again, that is going to eat into your precious con hours that you have on Saturday. Third best day to go on, what I was originally considering for second place, is actually Sunday, because it's kind of a hybrid between Friday and Saturday. It is actually a full day just like the other two, and it has a benefit over Friday in that A, it's a holiday, so it may be easier for you to attend. B, compared to Saturday, it's just not as crowded. For one, I don't think there's just a total number of attendees that day, especially for the single day passes. And two, I think the people who are there are starting to get hung over or just running ragged, so they're probably sleeping in. I honestly feel like sometimes Sunday morning and early afternoon are almost like a ghost town compared to what you've seen previously. Now, the only minuses I can think of could be the vibes later on at night, because everyone's starting to realize that, hey, look, the con's coming to an end. This is our last full day. You may be trying to get your last hurrah in. You may not quite be ready to let it all go. Some people could be running on fumes and they could be grumpy, or they could have gotten injured or tired as the weekend has gone by. The floors could be just super sticky and dirty by this point too. Oh, and if you're a late night partier, I have noticed, especially in recent years, the Sunday night dance parties just don't go on as late as they used to. I've seen everything just shut down around 1 or 2 a.m. on Sundays, and when I first saw it, it was kind of surprising because I don't think that used to be how it was before the pandemic. But now the staff and security will literally clear people out, and I've just seen the hallways almost deserted by super late on Sunday. The fourth best day to go, and I'm going to give a slight edge to Monday. Obviously, when compared to Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's going to be way less crowded, and that's a big plus. It's arguably the best day to go to the dealer hall because I've gone and I've seen hardly a line to get in when I go on Monday. In fact, some of the dealers maybe even give you a discount because they may just be trying to dump inventory on that last day, so keep that in mind. It's also a double-edged sword when it comes to the Walk of Fame and celebrity guests because A, a lot of them typically have left by Monday, and you may not see a guest if you were hoping to catch them last minute. But for the guests who do stick around, you're probably going to have a much easier time talking to them. You probably won't have to wait as long in line to go meet them either. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's not really a full day and there is zero nighttime activity because the con officially ends at 5 p.m. A lot of tracks, a lot of other parts of the con may actually start packing up earlier prior to 5, so just keep that in mind. And last but not least, it is a madhouse because most of the people who attend are trying to check out on Mondays. So some of the lobbies for the different hotels may be packed with people just trying to leave, and the elevator situation is going to be absolutely terrible too. Now, I wouldn't consider this last place, but the fifth best day to go to Dragon Con would be Thursday because you are paying, and I think there's just very little that you're getting back in return for what you're paying for. If anything, the only real programming you're going to get is a handful of panels that have started to pop up either late afternoon or at nighttime on Thursday. And of course, there is the infamous Bunny Hutch, but I think there's some other dance parties that have gone on as well. So if you really want a glimpse into the nightlife of Dragon Con, Thursday is a good choice for that. Now, of course, keep in mind other things like the Walk of Fame, the Dealer Hall, Artist Alley, those those are not quite open, so you're not going to get that full con experience on Thursday. Although I think this year they did announce for guests like Katie Sackhoff, they're going to try to do some limited signings and photos on Thursday, so that could be a trend moving forward. I will say for the rest of us who are planning to attend for the whole weekend, Thursday is of course badge pickup day because there's really not a whole lot going on from about 8 or 9 a.m. until maybe 4 p.m. So that's a very long stretch of time for you to just lose an hour or two trying to go get your badge, because sometimes, unfortunately, it still does take that long to get it. Now, not really on the list because it's not an official day, but I do want to talk about Wednesday. It's not that it's the worst day to go, it just kind of depends on what you're expecting out of it. As of 2025, it is not an official day. I honestly hope it never changes and becomes one, because then I think the con would start running on for a little too long. Of course, there's no official Dragon Con activity whatsoever. There's no badge pickup, no registration, anything like that. It's just people who have kind of come in early and decide to make their own fun events at the con. Now, if you're a first timer or you haven't been in a while, it's really a great time to get your bearings, try to figure out how to get from one place to another without the crowd standing in the way. And if you want to see your friends, it's actually a great time too to actually meet up with them without having to push through crowds and actually hear them without all that chatter in the background. Like I said earlier, there's unofficial things by people such as the gathering for the different cults of Dragon Con. An overwhelming amount of people on Wednesday will just kind of linger and hang out in the Marriott. And around midnight, if you hang out long enough, you will see a New Year's Eve type ring-in celebration of the con that is about to happen. Hope that was useful. Follow along and subscribe for all things Dragon Con. I will announce the winner of my last raffle for the Nintendo belt buckle in the next video, as well as telling you the item for the next raffle I plan to have for subscribers only. And as always, if you have any ideas for different topics or things that I could cover, feel free to leave that in the comment below, and I will see you next time.